myself again.
Welcome. We are back. Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, and it wouldn't be a Monday without a little bit of the NUFC Matters Fans Forum. So myself, Pete, always alongside Mr. Chris H. How you doing, Chris?
I'm okay, mate. I'm going to apologise in advance. My internet is pretty dodgy tonight. You've started jumping already, Pete, but I'm good, mate. I hope you're well.
All good, mate. All good. We'll drag you through the show. Don't worry about that.
Nice one.
100%. But I tell you what, it's been a little bit interesting since the last time we did a fans forum. Let's be honest. So yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit, very, very quickly. But obviously, the Norwich game. Not what we wanted in terms of a result, but the fighting spirit that was shown to manage to claw a point out of that game after 9 minutes. Clark gets sent off with a horrendous decision that he made, which affected not only himself but the rest of the team. And then we managed to go ahead. Unfortunately, a fantastic goal pulls it back, take a point, and then Burnley becomes a massive, massive game. And I cannot describe the feeling come 5 o'clock when that final whistle blew and we had those first 3 points in the bag. Chris, what were your feelings after that result came through on Saturday?
Just relief, mate. Relief. And it was amazing, wasn't it? You know, seeing Eddie Howe feeling exactly the same way as all us fans do. Yeah. So that was really nice. It was a well-deserved 3 points. I've seen us play better this season, and I think that's just a frustrating thing. I think we've played better this season. But the most important thing, come 5 o'clock at the weekend, was that we got the 3 points and we got them, which was, you know, massive relief. And now we go into the Leicester game next weekend, almost feeling, I don't know, like we've got a bit of a spring in our step. I'm feeling pretty good about it, if I'm honest, Pete.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I think a lot of Newcastle fans on social media watching the Leicester game on Sunday, yesterday, in the way in which they conceded chance after chance to Aston Villa, is only filled us with even more confidence that we can upset them next weekend. And you know, I had a conversation with one or two of our guests in the green room at the moment, and the one thing I said is that, you know, why not be confident in these games? Why not go out there and think, you know what, let's give it a go? Because if we lose, we're expected to lose anyway. Yeah. So we're not losing anything by having that shared confidence in thinking we can go and actually go and do something. But I'm confident going into that game. I think the way we're playing at the moment under Eddie Howe, the fitness levels, the togetherness, all of that is a making of a team that could really go and upset the apple cart. I'm not saying we're going to go there and pull off a result what we did last season or comfortably win the game. It's going to be tough. They're a talented side, but you know, there could be a little bit of underestimation there with Leicester and us, seeing as we're in the bottom three. They might think we're a bit of a walkover, and I think we might surprise one or two.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right in what you say, Pete, because they're going to be looking at this game. They've been on a bit of a poor run, and to be fair, they're going to look at this game and think, right, let's get back on track. However, they could end up underestimating us, and we're going to be looking at it and thinking, right. I mean, Jamal Lascelles said it, didn't he? What was it, yesterday or today, that our season starts now, and I think he's absolutely right. And if he carries on performing like that, by the way, you won't have people on his back either, because, you know, Jamal Lascelles, he did really well at the weekend, so I was pleased for him. In fact, there was a number of good performances at the weekend. You know, we spoke about it on Loads of Mag following our post-match review. You know, Joe Linton had a great game. I thought John Joe Shelby did really well again. Jamal Lewis continues to impress. So we've got loads of positives to take in to the weekend. And me and you are going to be there, Pete. So another positive. I'll get to see your happy face in Leicester. So I'm looking forward to that.
Definitely, absolutely buzzing for that game Sunday. Really looking forward to it. Looking forward to catching up with you again, and a number of others that will be travelling down as well. It should be a really, really good atmosphere. You know, if we can recreate the atmosphere that we had on Saturday, against Burnley, I think will be in a fantastic position to really sort of roar on the players to hopefully some more points on the board for sure. But yes, just before we get started with the callers, was there a question that you wanted to ask me, or are we going to wait for that later on in the show?
Do you know what? We'll do it after Tony, because I know Tony wants to jump on, doesn't he? So after Tony, we'll go through that question, because we've had our weekly question in from Lee Girdleston, and it's an interesting one. But we'll get Tony on, because I know that Tony's a bit pushed for time this evening.
No problem. We've got a number of people waiting in the green room. Looking forward to chatting to them all. But first of all, welcome in Tony. How you doing, Tony?
Hi, Chris. Hi, Pete. You all right?
Hello, mate.
Very, very good. Very good. The floor is yours, my man. What would you like to talk about?
Well, before I get on to Saturday, I just want to say it's about bloody time those signs were coming down, innit? I'm so pleased about that.
Get in.
I couldn't believe when I saw that. I thought at first it was a hoax, but then I thought, no, it's not, is it?
It is.
It's
Look
great, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. That's it coming down.
That is a great sight to see.
Absolutely.
Shame I wasn't off work. I could have gone up and given my hand. I would have quite happily ripped them out.
You know what, Tony? You're not the only one to say that, because there's a few people been saying today they could have had volunteers come in free of charge and help rip those things down 100%. But most important thing is that they're down. They're gone. We won't see them ever again.
And we're rid of him altogether now.
Definitely. That is it, Tony. You're absolutely spot on. That is
first Ashley, second Bruce, third Charlie, now the Saints. The old regime has gone completely.
Couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah.
Absolutely right, mate. Absolutely right.
Yeah, I'm going to quickly go on to last Tuesday when we played Norwich at home. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, that was a game we were all expecting 3 points out of, until Kieran Clark decided to be absolutely stupid in the 9th minute and get himself sent off. Why didn't he just let Pookie go through? And like Shearer said, even if he had scored, we had plenty of time to come back and win that game. But when you've got 10 men, you're making the game harder. We had to take an attacking player off in Fraser to bring Fernandez on, who I must say played absolutely brilliant and organised that defence. Lewis, I thought, had a great game as well, coming back into the side, which I've been shouting at for weeks for him to come back. And he looks a totally different player to what he was under Bruce. But I was disappointed that we only got a draw at that game, because, I mean, when we got that penalty, and I thought Krul was going to save it for a minute there, and then I saw it go, and I was like, thank God for that. Because that would have been great for Krul, wouldn't it, on his return to save the penalty, and he would have had one over us. So thankfully it went in. But yeah, and when Pookie got that goal, I mean, but he had acres of space as well to get his shot in. We had nobody there to close him down. Dubravka, I don't know if he was caught in two minds. Maybe he should have just punched that and let it go out for a corner. Maybe, but whatever happened there, I don't know. We can't blame Dubravka though.
Yeah, I think he's been quite harsh on Dubravka.
Yeah. I do.
You had to get something on it, because if you watch it back, he had to get something on it, because the player coming in behind would have scored like 100%.
Yeah.
He would have got on the end of it. So he had to get something on it. It's not like he's pushed it back into the firing line. He's pushed it away from goal, which is what every goalkeeper is told, is when you're making a save, push it away from goal. He's done that. You could argue that, the players had time to put the ball back into the penalty spot where players should be, certainly defensive players, and Pookie's then arrived unmarked in the penalty spot. Like, that should never, ever happen. So yeah, it's a. I just think it was quite harsh to blame Dubravka for that.
Oh God, yeah. It was a cracking goal by Pukki. You can't take it away from him. It was a class strike, but he should never have had that space, really.
No. Yeah, I think people were too. You're right, Tony. I think people were too quick to blame Dubravka, because I've watched it 4 to 5 times. Don't get me wrong. He could have done better with it. I'm not saying he couldn't, but people were saying it was like a goalkeeping howler, and I just didn't see it like that.
Yeah.
1 second, guys. FA Cup draw has been done. Newcastle United got a home tie to Cambridge.
Oh, brilliant.
We'll have that.
That's great.
So, fingers crossed, because we know what we're like in the past.
Yeah,
we should be getting through to the 4th round.
we should.
Get in.
To be honest, I live 40 minutes from Cambridge.
Oh,
because I did try to get a ticket for their game against Sunderland, but because I wasn't registered on their site before the 7th of October, I couldn't get one because I'd have quite happily gone along and supported the home crowd.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And because my partner, she works in the school in Cambridge, she's catering manager there. She tried to get me a ticket off the players when they come in there. But they had no spare tickets, unfortunately, so I couldn't go along and.
Well, do you know what, Tony? I was going to say let's hope for a replay, but I'm really sorry. I hope there isn't a replay. I hope
there shouldn't be. Hopefully not.
No, hopefully not. But if there is, at least you get to go and see it.
I think Cambridge will enjoy the coming up to St James's because it'll be a big tie for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean,
good tie for them.
But getting back to the game. So the Norwich game. So then we moved to Burnley, and I'm thinking, Burnley, yes, it's another one we should get 3 points at the time, and thinking, but they are a different side altogether. They're a bit tougher. We normally struggle against them. Sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't. Depends how we play. And then on Saturday, we sort of started off well, and then when Pope come running out with that ball, and it hit off Shaw as he come down, and then Wilson scored us, and then it went to VAR, and I thought, because I only watched the first half, you see, I had to go out for the second half, and I thought, here we go, VAR's going to turn this over and say it's a foul on the goalie. But then I was tempted to think, well, it can't be a foul on the goalie because he's not even in the 6-yard box. He's well out of that. So he's out of his protection zone because the 6-yard box is their protection zone. But once he's out of that, what was a wee come racing out to get that ball? And as he was coming down, he fell on Shaw, really. So technically, the goal was right to stand. And I've seen a lot of Villa fans saying, well, their goal was harshly ruled out, but ours was allowed. But the big difference was Schmeichel actually had his hand on the ball in the 6-yard area, and that's classed as having control of the ball.
Yeah, do you know what, Tony? It's a funny one, that, because I think that it was absolutely the correct decision for ours. I don't think, unfortunately, Pope, it was just the way he landed, but nobody pushed him into Shaw. Unfortunately, he's just landed on him, dropped the ball, but that's really his own fault, But the Schmeichel one, I did think that was funny. And I thought his post-match conference at the end as well, when Schmeichel was like, "Yeah, it was the right decision." And for me, I always got brought up on, if the goalie's got 2 hands on it, then it's the goalie's ball. But he had 1 hand on it. So for me, I'm not quite sure why it was, cancelled, because I thought it was a goal. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. But the main thing is we got the rub of the green for once.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though it was Pope's clanger, really, that's what it was. It was a clanger by him.
Yeah.
And didn't Callum Wilson put that away well?
Oh, very. I mean, it doesn't get spoke about enough.
Yeah. I mean, like Callum Wilson said after the game, the only way to put that in the net when you got somebody on the line is to hit it high. Yeah. Because they can't handle it. They've got to header it, and they're not going to get near it, are they?
Yeah. It was a great finish, and when you watch it again, it was one of the only places he could have put it. And if it was 4 to 5 inches lower, the defender would have headed it off the line. So it was great finish. Great finish.
It was. But and then I was out, so I was like having to keep a look at the phone. And I was like, it's still 1-0. I was like getting nervous because it was getting closer and closer. I'm thinking, come on, let's just get this win. And then Rodriguez put the ball in the net, and that was ruled out. I was like, thank God for that.
God for that, yeah.
And it was like, and when it come up full time on the phone, I thought, yes, thank God for that. We've got the win. But and to be honest with you, we're not even that far behind Watford now. We're only 3 points off Watford.
Yeah.
And we're 6 points off 10th place. And everybody's saying, we're down in all this and we'll never come back from this. The thing is, we go to Leicester on Sunday. And if we can put in the effort we did against Burnley, and the thing is, you got to remember, Leicester have got to play on Thursday. They've got a big game against Napoli, and they've got to win that game to get through in the Euros. So if they don't win that game and they lose again, they're going to be on a downer on Sunday anyway. Plus, that players are going to be tired because they've got to travel back from it. I think it's in Italy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it at home?
It's
Napoli, is it?
In Italy,
They've got to then travel back from Napoli. Then they've got only a couple of days probably training before our game on the Sunday. And to be honest with you, Leicester aren't setting the Premier League alight this year. And I certainly think we can get it there. And who knows? We could get the win. We done it last season.
That's why. That's why I think Patson Daka started yesterday. I think what they're doing is they were resting Vardy because it's such a big game. Because ultimately Leicester could still finish third in their group, even though they're top at the moment. So they have to win, and so they've rested Vardy so he can play on Thursday. But with Vardy, is he able? The age is now to play Thursday, Sunday. Yes, he probably is, but is he able to still play at the intensity that he normally plays at? That's a question mark. So it could well be that they're playing Vardy on Thursday with the thought of resting him again. Now, Patson Daka's is still a fantastic player, but he's not at the level of Jamie Vardy. I think that was shown, against Villa. If you rough him up, if you stay tight, he can be managed in the game. So it's going to be a really interesting one.
I mean, we've got the thing is, we've got Shelby's playing well now. So's Joe Linton, who I'm surprised I'm even seeing Joe Linton's playing well because, he never used to be that good. But obviously, Eddie Howe's done something which has improved him immensely. Obviously, Lascelles had a good game on Saturday as well for a change, which is unusual. Lascelles having a good game. But the thing is, everything looks good now. And Howe's now starting to stamp his authority on where he wants the team to play. And the thing is, you got to remember this is going to be only his fourth game. So, it takes a few games for a manager to get his ideas through the team anyway. And I heard a thing that Callum Wilson in the summer actually approached Bournemouth and asked if he could go there and do some training with them in their sessions because he wasn't getting enough training at Newcastle.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, if he's going back to his old club to ask for more training, then what the hell was Bruce doing?
He's got a personal trainer in Bournemouth where he lived, so I think it was the guy that helped him back from his ACL, both of his ACL injuries. So I think that's where he went back to continue to train and develop. And obviously, if anyone's not watched it, I would advise you to watch it. The podcast with Callum Wilson and Mikel Antonio. It's a fantastic podcast, and he actually says quite clearly that when they talk about the first game of the season, when we played West Ham at St James's, he actually comes out and says he doesn't believe we were fit enough.
Yeah, I mean,
for that game of season, we weren't fit to that game.
Yeah, looking at the December fixtures now, I mean, I know it's a daunting list, but the thing is, if say we even come away with a point from Leicester, it's not a bad thing. But if we even snatch and win it, then that's even better. So say we beat Leicester, then we've got to play Man City, which, okay, fair enough. We can sort of write that game off because they're playing so well at the moment. But then who knows? They could come to St James's Park and we could get a draw out of that game. You just don't know how it's going to go. And then we've got to play Man United. But who's to say that we don't get a point off Man United at home? Because they're not the best team either. I know we've got to play Liverpool in the middle of that as well. And then we've got Everton. Everton are great. And how funny would it be that we go to Everton, we beat them, and it happens to be Rafa Benitez's last game in charge of Everton, and we get him the sack.
Absolutely, mate.
Yeah. So all in all, if we got, say, 3 points at Leicester, 3 points at Everton, and a point against Man United, that's 17 points will be on going into January.
That'd be incredible. If we got to 17 points, I love the positives, Tony. If we got 17 points,
you've got to be, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to be honest, even if we got, I think I said the other day, didn't I, Pete? If we got 4 points, I'd be happy with 4 points at this point. Pick up a win somewhere and then get a draw. If we aim for at least 4 points out of those fixtures, I think you're right, Tony. We've got Leicester away, Liverpool away, Man U at home, Man City at home, Everton away.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And then going into January, you've got Southampton at the beginning. Then you've got after the FA Cup, you've got Watford. Then you've got Leeds. Now we should be looking to pick points up off them.
Definitely. No reason why we can't.
I believe if Howe had
100%.
been in charge from the beginning of the season, I think we would be in a much better position than we are now.
Oh,
if this had happened at the start of the season, you know.
Right.
Even Willick looked a little bit better on Saturday as well. You know, he looked a little bit better on Saturday, Willick. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he's getting his fitness back or whatever, because he hasn't looked great for the past few weeks, has he? He's looked disjointed and doesn't look as if he was interested. But all of a sudden on Saturday, he looked a much better player, and he put that cross in, which obviously led to the goal.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
Tony, we're gonna have to stop there because we've got so many people waiting in the back. But as always, really appreciate your comments.
Yeah.
Absolutely spot on as always, and you definitely.
Thanks for letting me on first, Tony. Thank you for letting me on first. Anyway, that was nice of you, and yeah, hopefully I can get a win tonight now.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, mate.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, I won last Wednesday, so yeah. So hopefully tonight I'm on a roll. Hopefully.
Back to back.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be nice. Yeah. We're playing the leaders tonight, so yeah.
Good man.
Best of luck, mate.
Best of luck.
Okay, thanks, lads.
Speak to you soon, Tony. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks.
Take care, Tony.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers, mate.
Great to have Tony on. Great points as always. And obviously, in between that, we've got the third round draw. So Cambridge at home in the next round. Fantastic draw for us. You know, it was good to avoid the big boys. I think there's a few Premier League ties in there. It's Man United and Villa. Some decent, tasty ties that have taken place. But we've got a home draw against Cambridge. What are your initial thoughts, Chris?
Happy, mate. If you get a lower league team at home, you've got to be happy. I never like playing away because I always feel like, you know, they're going to be bang up for it. You know, you're they want to be the giant killers. So it always concerns me a little bit if you get a lower team away. But yeah, getting a lower league side at home, you know, it's perfect, isn't it? In terms of looking to get through to that fourth round. So fingers crossed.
And it's the first time in 14 years where we've got an ownership and a management that are not actively trying to get us out of the FA Cup.
Yeah,
in terms of not having to put in a weaker side or put in a team that's not really going to challenge the FA Cup. So it's really going to be interesting from an Eddie Howe perspective, and certainly from the ownership about how seriously they take the FA Cup. Obviously, the priority is to stay in the league right now and push and press to get safety. But it's going to be really interesting in the next 4 weeks or so how we see that kind of come about. But very happy with that draw. That should be a good game for us, and hopefully we get a win and a number of goals to celebrate. But yeah, we're going to move on. Mate. Yeah, definitely. Right, I know we've got the question. Do you want to go question or guest? Which one do you want to go for, Chris?
Up to you, mate. Up to you.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Because he's waited so patiently for so long, let's get the main man, the regular, first on even before me tonight in the studio. Let's get him in. How you doing, Chris? Hey, welcome.
Good. How are you, lads?
How you doing, mate?
All right. Well, your first guest touched on a number of points that I was going to touch on. So I think I'll start off by giving you guys a quiz. One question: Who in the new Newcastle has a Cambridge connection?
What, who in Newcastle, or what in the current team?
In the current team.
In the current setup. Let me be.
Oh, current setup. Okay.
Vague about the origins here. All right, I'll tell you. So Amanda Stavely attended Cambridge. Of course, she did leave before graduating to start a restaurant between Cambridge and Newmarket, and that's where she started. And that's it was to attract a horse racing crowd because of Newmarket, of course, and that's where she first met the Middle Eastern investors that helped her start PCP. So
wow,
kind of we owe everything to Cambridge, and so of course her first FA Cup tie under her ownership would be against Cambridge. So it all comes full circle there. All right, so I was going to talk about my optimism for the fixtures, and I think that we can get like 4 to 7 points in the next month. But I also wanted to say, like, okay, look, after December, we've got those January fixtures are not very difficult. So if you want to expand and say over the next 2 months, while we're dealing with the transfer window, of course, I wouldn't expect everyone's sort of looking at the transfer window and being like, well, if we don't have all of our transfers lined up in the first week, then, it's going to be a tough transfer window and more like the ones we're used to where we do loan signings at the end, which I don't quite believe. I think it'll be somewhere in between. I don't expect us to have all of our signings lined up by the January 3rd or whatever, but I wouldn't be surprised if we've already have 1 or 2 signings sort of ready to go, because I think those first couple of signings are going to be, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on them, and I wouldn't expect it to be like a statement Robinho signing, because of course Robinho didn't work out very well for Man City anyways. So I think it's going to be like solid signings. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Tarkowski. His comments praising the new Newcastle team were a bit conspicuous, I would have thought. So it sounds like there could be something going there. And then Pete, your away days interview where the Burnley guy was saying that he wouldn't be surprised if Tarkowski went for like 7 million, which is pocket change for our new owners. Yeah. So that's encouraging. But again, people keep saying, oh, there's going to be like a real statement signing. I just don't really think that the first guy that was linked to us, Coutinho, is somebody that he just doesn't fit. He doesn't fit in our current setup, and it's like you could put like anyone, Coutinho and above, into our setup, and it wouldn't necessarily gel. It's about the cohesion of the group, and I think that we've found. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not so convinced about Lingard, but I think for now I'm kind of curious whether you guys agree that we've kind of, Eddie Howe has had a couple games to kind of see who is, as the squad exists now, who is his kind of go-to squad members, and I think he's found his natural first 11. That's going to be the first 11, into the January transfer window when we start to see incomings. But I think I'm okay with that. I mean, I was always a Matt Ritchie fan, but I sort of knew that there was younger players, and especially I'm really happy with the onset of Jamal Lewis. Really happy for the lad. I know he had potential, and of course he was looked at by Liverpool and others. So he was bruised and hadn't played since last February, but I knew that he would kind of come on and have an immediate impact. I mean, he's not going to be like goals or assists, but if he can play solid at the back, we need a solid left back, but also in Eddie Howe's kind of forward thinking lineup. I think he's kind of an ideal kind of Eddie Howe left back in terms of somebody that can defend, but also to take the ball forward, with Cher and those other guys. So I'm comfortable with the way that after all of the talk of this guy's not playing because of international duty and this guy's not playing because Eddie Howe hasn't seen him, I think Eddie Howe has seen everyone now, and maybe with the exception of Ryan Fraser, we learned that he had a bit of a knock. We were kind of wondering last match how he could go from starting to being not even featured in the squad, and now it's because he sustained a bit of a knock. But hopefully he's back. And so that Ryan Fraser might be the one guy that hadn't featured in the last match that I could expect to see going forward. But I think I'm comfortable with Shelby and Joe Linton, which is something I never thought I would say. But I think they're creating a great spine for us. And I know we've always talked about in the transfer window we want to improve our spine, but it seems like we've got a bit of an improved spine just under Eddie Howe, which is just telling about how much. Not how bad we were under Bruce, but just how much Bruce wasn't able to tap into our potential. And I think that Eddie Howe has found something, and it's sort of a combination of being a man manager, but you just can't be a man manager all the time. You have to have tactics and, be a tough taskmaster. And I think that Eddie Howe has that great mix of being the guy that's going to put his arm around the shoulder and, encourage him, because I always study how he reacts to players who come off as a sub or after the game, and he's very touchy-feely, but in a way, like he's telling them stuff. So I think he's got that rare combination of being a man manager, but someone who's 24/7, 365 manager that never takes a day off, even if he gives his players a day off, and he's always studying film and sort of ways to beat the opposition. And so even if we don't have even if our sort of director of football or anyone kind of above Howe is kind of murky in terms of who's going to be making the signing, because of course I think all of us would agree that the most important thing is that we act quickly, and we sort of need to figure out how it works with Saudi Arabia in terms of who has this. There's somebody in the UK who has the final say to be able to get the guys that we need and not have everything have to go through Saudi Arabia, because as we've seen with the director of football or the manager, those things could be take a bit longer to sort out, and we need efficiency and speed to act in the transfer window. So if we don't have those guys already lined up, but somebody does come available and he's there for the right price, hopefully we can grab him and not be held back by having owners on 3 continents or whatever. So
yeah. No, I think you make a good point, Chris. When you say about, we may not need as many transfers or new players as what we thought we were going to need initially, because Eddie Howe is really raising the game with the players that we've got at the moment, like Jamal Lewis. I know it's only 2 games in. Yeah, I'm not trying to get too excited.
Yeah.
And like you say, it is, that saying it is like a new signing. But Jamal Lewis, he's coming to the fold. I know Graham Jones was. He was videoed, wasn't he, outside the training ground, saying that he came for a big price tag. He was struggling to cope with it and stuff like that. Well, we've not seen that on the pitch, because whatever Eddie Howe's done so far, so good. And like I say, I know it's only 2 games in, but he's really come into the fold and looked great. Joe Linton, I think if you'd asked people about 6 weeks ago who would be the first person out the door, you'd probably say Joe Linton. You'd probably say John Joe Shelby. And he's really getting a tune out of these players. Jamal Lascelles had his best game, and from whenever I can remember. At the weekend, I thought he played really well. And if he gets an extra 10-20% out of these players, then it means that even if we can keep hold of them for another 12-18 months, obviously we're going to upgrade in time. There's no doubt about that. But for the immediate here and now, if we can just upgrade a couple of positions, that will make Eddie Howe's job far easier. And it will mean that we keep the core of the squad who are used to playing with each other, know each other's runs and things like that. Because you can't go out and buy 9 or 10 new players in the middle of a season and expect them to hit the ground running. It just won't work. And that is, my biggest concern. But now that Eddie Howe's come in and really started to, make these changes and improve the coaching, we're seeing better results from the players. I mean, what do you think, Pete?
I think a number of the fan base, including myself at times, sort of reacted too quickly. I don't think we as a fan base understood how badly mismanaged these players were over the last 2 years under Steve Bruce. I think, in my opinion, We knew how bad Bruce was, but I don't think we realised how bad he was in terms of the coaching. We know how many days were off training. We're seeing players that are fitter. We're seeing players that are sharper. We're seeing players that are hungrier. And you only get that really from regular training, from regular fitness, feeling fit yourself. When you feel fit yourself and you feel strong in terms of your endurance and being able to play for long periods, you feel confident in order to do more. But when you feel tired, that's when you become reserved. So I'll give Jamal Lascelles as a prime example. Jamal Lascelles, what we saw in the Steve Bruce is retreat, retreat, retreat. He wasn't confident in his ability, wasn't confident in his fitness. So what he would do, he would just sit on the 18-yard box where he felt comfortable. What you're seeing now from Jamal Lascelles and the other defenders is that we're now playing a higher line that is pressing us further up the pitch and pressing the opposition back. That's what it's doing. And because it's doing that, it's allowing us to be better in attacking areas. And what you're seeing now is a fitter Jamal Lascelles who's able to get around the pitch a lot more. And also he is attempting a lot more in terms of tackles, in terms of winning headers. And we saw that. Chris Wood normally dominates most games, not just against Burnley. Not just against Newcastle, but most teams for Burnley. But actually, he didn't really kick a ball or head a ball on Saturday, and that was because Jamal Lascelles managed him really well. And actually, a number of people have talked about this, but actually, if you notice, partway through the second half, Chris Wood actually then goes and sits on Fabian Schär. That never happens. He only did that because he was getting no joy from Jamal Lascelles. And I don't think Jamal Lascelles got the praise that he deserved, because I thought he was fantastic and actually could have quite easily been up there as man of the match. Albeit there was a number that could have been man of the match. Jamal Lewis could have been one of them. Joe Linton another. But he was very, very good. Now, yes, it's one game. Yes, we're seeing improvements, but we've got to be confident that the more Eddie Howe works with the likes of Jamal Lascelles, Jamal Lewis, Joe Linton, they're actually going to get better. So we're not even seeing the best of these guys yet. Who's to say that, in 6 months, a year's time, that we don't see Lascelles performing the way he did under Rafa Benitez? Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's great to see that there are improvements across the team, and the manager is a big, big reason in that, as well as his coaching staff that he's brought in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, always a pleasure. Never, ever a chore. Thank you for coming on and sharing your points. A great question, actually. A really, really good question with regard to that. So appreciate your time, as always. And always welcome back, Chris. You know that. Just send us a message and hopefully we'll see you next week, mate.
All right. Over and out. Cheers.
Definitely.
Take care, Chris.
Away the lad. All right. Later.
Top man, Chris. You take care.
Thank you, Chris.
Bye.
I tell you what, I think you've given my internet to me, your internet to me tonight, because I tell you what, my internet's become crazy jumpy at the moment, and it's going in and out. So I think I need to apologise in advance now. In case my internet breaks up. Not a good night for the internet, I have to say. But look, just before we get on next guest on, I think it's only right at this stage to go through the sponsors. So have to get them in first, because whenever I do or don't, I get a lot of stick on the back of that. So Spider VPN for all your internet security. They are the boys to trust, and want to protect your computer. That is, if you want to protect your computer or laptop, they are the ones to go to. I don't know if you heard that. I'm assuming you did.
Yeah, here's it all, mate. Here's it all.
My internet is playing up, but we'll move on.
Pete, do you want me to run through the sponsors? Is that easier, mate?
You go for it, mate. You go for it. Mine's playing up big time tonight.
Okay, mate, no problem. Okay, so our next sponsor is skipsandbins.com. They can be contacted on telephone number 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, and the website address for them is www.skipsandbins.com. Easy, contract free, and pay as you go waste collection. We are also sponsored by L&G Family Funeral Directors. They can be contacted on 0191 389 7245. We have our good friend John from qtechshop.co.uk. John can be contacted for all your pool and snooker tables, and he is based in Wallsend. We also have Jab Signature. Jab Signature do the posters and flyers for the show, and they've also got out their website, which is www.jabsignatures.co.uk. Get yourselves on there to see all their clothing brands. If you are a regular viewer and you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to Newcastle Legends. The subscribe button is in the bottom right corner. Don't forget to like the show. Keep your comments coming in, and make sure that you share this show with your friends and family who you think may be interested in watching. As always, your support is really appreciated. If you didn't get a chance to watch us live, don't forget that you can catch up on iTunes and Spotify. So whether you're out walking the dog or you're in the car with the kids, stick the show on and you can catch up there. So we've got an upcoming afternoon show with Newcastle and England legend Peter Beardsley, which is an event that Steve is hosting. That's on Sunday the 30th of January, and it's in the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. So if you're interested, get yourself on the website and order some tickets. We also have on Thursday, the 9th of December, in Bobbicks, more football chat in aid of the food bank. Join Steve and Supermac for topical and possibly some nostalgic NUFC talk. Don't forget, you can keep supporting the Matchday Bucket, whether you do that live at the match, or if you can't make the match, make sure you get on the website, nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. Your support is always really appreciated. And of course, I have to mention Loaded HQ, which is a channel that myself and Pete appear on with Martin, Daz, and Richie. We have our flagship show, Loaded Mag, every Friday. So if you'd like to tune into that, please do. We also run shows normally on a Tuesday, which is our live line show. And we also run the away days, which is generally on a Thursday. So keep a lookout for that. And if you haven't subscribed to Loaded HQ already, please do. And I think that's the sponsors. We're still waiting for Pete. Oh, here he is. You all right, Pete? He's back. He's back.
Turned off my internet. Restarted my laptop, so hopefully everything's okay. I just want to address Oliver Boothroyd, because he's gunning for me tonight.
He usually goes for me, mate. He goes for me as well.
Gunning for me tonight about the Lascelles. Look, you got a problem with Lascelles and the way he played on Saturday? Come join us. Come and have a chat with us. Only using him as an example because I thought he was man of the match. Thought he played very, very well. And you know what? We as a fan base, we give players stick all the time when they're not playing well. But you know what? I think it's important that when they actually play well and they actually show the level of that we should be playing, or even above that, that we give them the praise. Okay, we've done it with Joe Linton. We've done it with Jamal Lewis. We've done it with John Joe Shelby. I don't think the captain deserves anything other than praise for the way he played on Saturday. And he was a big reason why we got 3 points and a clean sheet. So, you know, if you think that I've got a Jamal Lascelles loving, maybe I have. We'll see.
Well said, Pete. No, absolutely. Do you know what? Credit where credit's due. We're not saying he's suddenly turned into the best defender in the world.
No, not at all.
You know, when someone plays well, you know, you've got to back them, haven't you? Just to add in, by the way, John Justice Allen and Steve have connected me there, so apologies everyone. The Bobbicks night is cancelled, but I'm hopefully it'll be rearranged. But yeah, apologies for that, everybody. Pete, should we go to our next guest? What I'm going to do, I know that we had that question from Lee, but I do think it might be a little 10-15 minute job, and I'm conscious of time, and we've got a lot of people in the chat, so maybe we'll leave Lee's questions till next week.
Yeah,
and I think it's time to get our third guest on, which is a fan favourite of ours. Welcome to Alan.
How you doing, Alan?
How you doing, mate?
All I've got to say at the start of the show is get in straight away.
That's it,
mate. That's it.
total relief on Saturday. Total utter relief on Saturday.
Yeah.
You took one of my points, Pete, but I'm going with Oliver. I'd have Fernandez in any day of the week. Majority of people have said to me after the game he played well themselves. I looked at him. I thought he was as slow as my tortoise in the houch there. I really did. He played better in the last 20 minutes against Chris Wood, and we got a clean sheet. I'm not denying that. But if anybody said to me tomorrow, I'd have Fernandez in against Leicester tomorrow. But I'm with Oliver, but I was looking at it from a different point of view, but I go with the majority people. And he has improved, and that's what Howe has done. I mean, if you had said to me, Joe Linton, 6 weeks ago, how he's played over the last 3 or 4 games has amazed me. I don't think I can remember, I don't know about you, Pete, Chris, a person that's improved so much in such a short space of time under a different manager. I can't remember the last time, because he was again excellent, Joe Linton. You know, like I've said in the past on podcasts, I couldn't sell him in a jumbo sale, and then he got to eBay. Now we could even get a transfer fee for him, lads. You know, going forward, but he is playing well, and good credit to the lad. All credit to him. Lascelles has got a lot to prove to me, Pete. I'm sorry, I saw him. The Burnley player had a chance after 20 minutes. He allowed him to have a shot, and the same lad got injured, the best Burnley player, after half an hour. I'm still not convinced with him, Pete. It'll take more than one game to come, you know. But again, Howe has done the best for them, improving that confidence throughout the squad.
Yeah.
Look, I know I'm going to.
I was going to say, Alan. I think you made a good point, and yeah, we need to reserve judgment, but you know, we also need to reserve judgment on a few other players. Then, if that's the case, Joe Linton has been awful for 2 years now. He's been awful, but he's had 3 good games, and already we're hailing him as this new great player, and he is playing well. You know, Jamal Lascelles hasn't been as bad as Joe Linton during that period of time, but we're all throwing stick his way now. And you know, he's had 1 good game, yes, but it's only 2 less good games than Joe Linton, and everyone's still got their question marks about him. You know, there's got to be some balance there somewhere. You know, 3 games doesn't make a player, yes, right, but you know, if we're going to praise Joe Linton after 3 games, there's no reason why we can't praise Jamal Lascelles after 1. So it's just one of those things, and it's not against you, Alan. It's not against Oliver in the chat. I just think as a fan base, I think sometimes, and I think, you know, Stu Penman is said it absolutely spot on.
Oh, sorry, Pete, I've just clicked off there. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, he said he's gone too many are quick to criticise but slow with the praise when it's due. For me, I look at players on a game-to-game basis. You know, I could absolutely slate Joe Linton 1 game, and then the next game I could say, you know what, actually, he played well. But I think there's a lot of fans out there that don't, and they like to stick with their criticism because it's easy to do so. You know, Jamal Lascelles is the captain of this club. And you know, we need to get behind him, because ultimately, regardless of what we think of Jamal Lascelles, he is going to play every week when fit. And if he's going to play every week when fit, we need to get behind him, because he is going to be one of those key components to us staying in the league this season. That's what we need. So rather than us criticising him, we need to get behind him as a fan base, get behind him on match days to ensure that he can galvanise this team to put performances in that are going to keep us in the league. What happens after that happens.
Do you know what, Pete? Just to add into what you're saying there, mate, John Justice Allen's absolutely behind you as well, mate. And I think for me, what you've said as well about Lascelles, I thought Lascelles played pretty well at the weekend. That's just my opinion. If you said to me, would I rather Lascelles or Fernandez at the weekend? I'd rather Fernandez, because I trust Fernandez more. But that's not to say that Lascelles didn't have a good game at the weekend. I think it's about putting it into perspective. And really, you don't change the winning side, do you? So I you know, as much as I like Fernandez, and I think Fernandez should be in there ahead of Lascelles, I will also say that Lascelles had a good game. And you know, Pete, as well as anyone, that I'm not a big fan of Lascelles. Like, I'm really fair play and credit where it's Jim.
I know that a lot of the last 2 guests, Tony and Chris, have made a lot of points I wanted to say, but getting a little bit off centre, lads, I do believe VAR's killing the game, mind. I mean, when we scored, that couple of minutes was torture.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Because I honestly thought he was going to disallow the goal. The emotional, I was up for it and we're going mad where I was, and then it just suddenly stopped. And football's about emotion, and I just think sometimes VAR really does kill it. I didn't see anything wrong with the goal, and yet there was a case yesterday against Aston Villa, and they were trying to make it out they were both similar. They were totally different. The Aston Villa goal that was disallowed, I thought they were totally different, lads, because the goalkeeper actually dropped the ball on Shear's head and it fell out of his hands. Yeah. And then Wilson, great finish, my lads, great finish. And that comes back. That comes back to another point I wanted to make, lads. Who do you want signings wise in January? 3 or 4, in the January, because the lad from Blackburn's banging in the goals. He's from Chile, and he's been rumoured. He scored 17 goals. He's second behind Mitrovic. These are the type of players. I mean, I would go for that Gerhardt from Leeds. Looks promising, lads. The young lad.
Yeah,
he's the closest I've seen to Peter Beatty for a long time. He's only played a few times for Leeds, but he looks fantastic for me. Lingard, I think he's best destined for West Ham, to be honest, lads. I really do. I hope I'm wrong, but I think he's destined for West Ham. Tarkowski for Burnley, yes, we need him. But like I said before, I think we need a centre-half, a creative midfield player, and a striker to back up Wilson before the season ended.
What did you think of Tarkowski at the weekend, Alan? I mean, I was watching him, and do you know what impressed me most about him? Not just his performance. He was constantly badgering the referee. He was constantly on at the referee, moaning about things, asking for things, wanting things, and we don't have enough players like that. Yeah. And I thought, you know what, he'd fit right in here, and I could see him being a Newcastle. So I personally hope that we do bring Tarkowski in. How much for, I don't know, but I hope that deal is going to get done.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, Chris. I think we need another one. And it gets back to my point about the sales, lads. But then again, everybody's got the right, the praise them. And good, we need to praise them because the next 5 fixtures, lads, are horrendous. There's no getting away from it. But we've got to just take one game at a time and see how it pans out before January. I know I'm being hypocritical here, lads, and I've said before about we should only look at our result. But come Friday, Brentford, Watford, I will be looking out for it. And I want Brentford to beat Watford on Friday night because psychologically, it'll be like a 5-6 point gap.
I wouldn't mind draw, I'll be honest, Alan.
Yeah. I'm just thinking from the fact
that I'd like a draw.
I'm just thinking.
Can they not both lose?
Yeah. Well, Pete, I'm looking from the point if Brentford do beat Watford, and we unlikely as it is, but if we do beat Leicester, we could be out the bottom 4, lads. We could be, because Burnley play West Ham at home, and that's not going to be easy for Burnley. So we could be out the bottom 4 come Sunday night. And that's how I'm looking at it, because psychologically, until you're out the bottom 3, really the other results don't matter. All the results, the bottom half that on Saturday, only we won. I mean, Aston Villa did win on the Sunday afternoon to get out the bottom 10, but all the bottom 10 either drew or got beat apart from ourselves. So that was great. Long may it continue. But the signings, yes. The people that go, I think we've got to have a long look at the goalkeeping situation, lads, for squad numbers. We've got 4 keepers, and I mean, apart from Dubravna, I'm honestly thinking that we need another backup goalkeeper. It's not the priority, but I do believe we should let Darlow and Gillespie certainly go. I'd keep Woodman because he's still young, but I would definitely let Darlow and Gillespie go to free up numbers. I do think Kraft. I do think... How many people mentioned Henriks, lads? I never heard anybody mention Jeff Henriks this week building up to the game. Not one.
Isn't it a good thing, though, Alan? isn't
brilliant.
it?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, you've kind of answered one of your questions yourself, because you talked about players potentially leaving. The fact that he's not being talked about at all,
Yeah.
could that mean that he's been sort of quietly spoken to and said, look, you know, maybe you need to look elsewhere? Sean Longstaff still hasn't signed a new deal yet, hasn't really kicked a ball. Could he be one that's out the door to bring in two other new midfielders?
Do you think Eddie Howe's going to give Matty Longstaff from Aberdeen coming back after his own spell? Do you think you give him a chance, lads, or do you think his career's finished in Newcastle as well?
You know what? I think he's already talked about Matty Longstaff, because I think he was asked by one of the local journalists about his loan spell in Aberdeen, and I can't remember it word for word, but I think there was some conversation about him talking regarding his loan spell and the possibility of him coming back. Now, the one thing that I think Matty Longstaff has, if I'm right in thinking, is another year on his contract. He has another year, whereas Sean Longstaff's runs out in the summer. So it could well be that he brings him back in the squad and maybe releases a couple elsewhere. But it's going to be an interesting one. Kieran Clark, is that mistake kind of sealed his fate against Norwich? You know, it's going to be a really interesting January. And you know what?
For the first time in 14 years.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Alan. The first in 14 years, but it's going to be an interesting one. And actually, I'm quite relaxed about the January transfer window. We've talked about Tarkowski and Lingard because they've been the most linked players, but I think there's going to be a few surprises. You know, players that we've not even considered that are going to walk through the door.
Got to be.
I agree. I agree.
Got to be, lads. I mean, the only good Henriks I know is Jimi Hendrix back in the 70s, who was a guitar player. But the Jeff Hendricks we've got, I'm sorry, he's got to go. He's got to go. But like I say, things are looking up, lads. If you look at the table, it looks a lot brighter than it did on Friday night. And we've just got to give it up. We're all against Leicester, Pete. Yeah. One other thing I would like to mention, lads, is I mentioned on the podcast a couple of days ago, basically this narrative that the media's got about players not coming to the Northeast. Chris Boyd was at the Act on Saturday, saying, you know, nobody will come to Newcastle.
Oh, I've seen it.
You know, and I thought, you know, yeah, Chris, and I thought it just, what it gets me, Pete, is, Chris, breeds hatred. Every part of the country has got lovely parts, and we've all got bad parts.
Yeah. And
we're not going to be able to sign every player.
No,
every player's going to come to Newcastle. Don't feel offended. The fan base, I hope that, you know, if we're linked with players and they go, but I don't fancy Newcastle, it's not because of the area, it's because they want to go to Manchester, they want to go to London. But this narrative that some players, it's out of date, lads, honestly, from, you know, like the narrative that they've got. And to be honest, I think, you know, we will be able to attract players because that's the fear factor. And I've always said it since the takeover happened, lads, that in the past, where we were linked with a player, say for like Everton or Aston Villa for 30 million, we know we can pay them better wages than what they can.
Yeah.
And that's why every club's against the lads, because they know even the big lads like Man United, we can in effect pay bigger wages than them. And that's why they didn't want this takeover to happen, because it's price inflation regarding, you know, transfers going forward in the future. And so that's why I'm more relaxed, like you said, Chris, about transfers, because we will get them in. But I just hope that the narrative from the press, I mean, Talk Sport, dare I say it, can I say it, talk shite? I've got a narrative against with everybody that comes on is we want them down, we want them relegated. I go on some podcasts and I don't bite. I mean, some of the Tottenham lads want we relegated, some of the Arsenal lads want we relegated, but some don't. To be fair to them, some don't. But a lot of people do want we relegated, lads. But hey ho, if we run it right and get it run right, and it's great to see the signs coming down, because you know, the book of the history of Newcastle, when it's written, lads, there'll be a blank chapter over this Ashley era. Chapter 14, what happened between 2008 and 2021, it'll just be empty page, lads, really. Apart from one season. But
it's a black mark, Mike Ashley.
It is, Pete. It is, really is. And I'm, for one, I'm delighted so far with the new owners. Straight away, that Daily Telegraph story about the director of football was nipped in the bud. It's not true. And that's why I like already communication, lads, between the fans and the press. That is rubbish. Put it to one side. That is rubbish, what they're telling. And the press man had to actually bow down on the Telegram and say, yes, it was a lie. You know, that's how all these stories about players, they'll be saying that Pelly's going to join with tomorrow, lads. So we've got to just take it with a pinch of salt and wait and see what happens in January. So I'm excited, and I'm roll on Sunday, lads. Hopefully we'll get something out of it. But I'll let you go, lads, if there's any more, or you want your bedtime. I don't know, but I'll let you go now. But thanks for having us on, as always, and hopefully another 3 points on Sunday.
Always a pleasure. Alan, there's some fantastic points that you've raised, and some that we've not even really talked about so far tonight. So really, really appreciate that. You come on. You're a regular with us. But you make some fantastic points with regard to Newcastle and all the news that comes out with Newcastle Weekly. And, you know, thank you for taking the time to come on.
No problem.
On the way out, mate.
Thanks, lads. There's still 69 points to play for, lads. 60, and we only need 30. So people don't give up on if we get beaten the next 4 games. Don't give up. That's all I'll say.
No, absolutely right.
Couldn't have said it any better, Alan. Couldn't have said it any better. But pray for 3 points on Sunday and Monday. Hopefully, we're talking again with another 3 points in the bag.
Thank you. Thanks, lads.
You take care.
Good night now.
Always a pleasure to have Alan on. He's made a fantastic point, and I just wanted to kind of like just touch on what he said really about the you know, the media and the negativity that's thrown our way. I think, you know, we talked about it on Loaded and on Fans Forum too, and a number of other fans have mentioned it. And we have to have thick skin now, as the club or fans of the richest club in the world. There was always going to be negativity. There was always going to be scrutiny thrown our way for anything, any little thing. There was always going to be these crazy, stupid stories that are being made, whether it's about signing Mbappe or whether it's about, you know, things going wrong in the club early on or fingers being pointed elsewhere, or as we've seen this week with the director of football. It was always going to happen because they just want to get an easy, cheap story and throw mud at Newcastle. We as fans have just got to not react to it. We've got to have that thick skin, laugh it off and just get on with it, because 9 times out of 10 it's a load of rubbish. And like I say, Alan made a great point when he said, you know, the ownership have come out and nipped that story in the bud about Michael Emiliano, and, you know, made that journalist look really, really stupid now, and he's had a lot of fingers pointed back to him on the back of all of this. So yeah, very interesting, very, very interesting. Chris, anything you want to add to that situation? I think we're having 1 or 2 issues at the moment. Just bear with us. Just wait for Chris to rejoin, if we can.
I'm back.
He's back. I can see him partly.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back. I was the kind of.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. No, do you know what? It's horrible, isn't it, when you're on your own? And then you think, I'm on my own.
I tell you, there was just as much suspense there than in the 94th minute. on Saturday. It's like we were waiting for the final whistle on Saturday, and everyone was waiting for Chris to come back. We're like, "Where's he gone? What's happened?" And I've got to be honest, with my internet issues tonight, I wasn't sure if it was me. So I was trying to see if everyone else was reacting and see if I was still in. But yeah.
I've took it back off you now.
Yeah. We literally have guys in the chat apologize in advance. We both did. We've literally swapped internet issues over the course of this show. Started with Chris, then I took the reins. Chris is now taking it back. What can you do? Monday nights are never ever predictable. I'll say that for one. But look, we're going to move forward. We've got the main man in the house. Pleasure for him that he's joined us again. Welcome in, Babo. How you doing, my man?
Hey, lads. We finally have it. First win of the season.
Positive vibes only. Come talk to us about Saturday,
only.
My man.
I'm like, it's just the way we have to go ahead. Because the guys that have come on have made several points that was like, you know what, this is good. And one thing I actually really like that's happening now is the toxicity that they were like, toxic. That now they're like, if you play in Newcastle, even if they are losing, they are still out singing you. There is nothing you can do. The players are still outworking your players, right? So it's quite nice to be able to say, right, I'm a Newcastle supporter, and they're not like toxic. Now they go, oh, richest club in the world. I'm like, nah. 3 months ago, you were laughing me out the room. Now, who's laughing? Yeah, but no, it's good. It's good. But what I really like is that when you watch a Newcastle game now, you can see that there is a plan and there is a way we're trying to achieve something in the game. It's no longer let's not get beat, which was a terrible way of playing. I mean, all Newcastle fans, after watching games like that, now even when we're losing, we're like, oh, we're still attacking. This is odd. We usually already bring on 2 defenders by 65th minute, and we're like, right, we're going to try and defend the 1-0 that we're already down. So it's quite nice. And it's, as Pete said, right, Joelinton has been good for like 3 games, and we're like, woo, Joelinton, after 40 million and 2 years of suffering his style of Bruce ball. And it's good to just see like the players have a little bit of confidence. They are taking pictures together. They are acting like they have lives, right? So it is quite weird because like when I saw the picture after the Burnley game, I was like, you think we just won a cup, but we just won our first game. And every other Newcastle fan was like, right, we won this game. We've been waiting this long. We're going to enjoy it. It doesn't matter. And what is quite good that I'm seeing from Newcastle fans now is that even though we're not sure what the future holds, we know we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
That's the ironic part, because I think we all accepted that if we went down with Bruce and Senior Ashley, ain't no way we're coming back up, because like the man, I don't know what it was about his training, his level of tactical analysis. It was just a decline. And luckily for us, Joe Willock saved our season last time. And everyone was like, oh, Bruce did an amazing job. It was amazing that the players coped that long with Bruce. Because now we've had How for what? A month? And literally we have like, it's almost like we have a new club. It's not even just so it's quite concerning. But like one thing I keep seeing is like we're being linked with everybody under the surface of the sun. And I was walking back home today and I was thinking like, God, we don't want to be like Everton. And at the train station I was like, wait a minute, can you imagine what it's like to get to a point where we don't want to be like Everton? We don't want to have spent 35 million on players that don't show up or anything. And I'm there like, wow, this is what money does to you. Now you're thinking
35 million, Babo.
Yeah. 35 million
they've spent £500 million. They're still no better off than where they were when they first had that money. They've literally stood still on £500 million.
Yeah, we went from trying to get loan signings of £1 million to start saying we don't want to buy £35 million players. We won't be doing. And I'm like, yeah, this is insane. But what we need this transfer window, we need men. We don't need luxury players, because I keep seeing Ousmane Dembele, and I'm like, I am not a manager, but I will not sign somebody who has no respect for time. That is one basic principle that every decent human being should be able to do, and he doesn't have it. He doesn't have respect for his club. He doesn't have the playing time, and he doesn't have anything to actually show that he's worth whatever they're going to pay him. So, my personal opinion, as somebody who has been suffering the Newcastle game for the last 7-8 years, I'm like, we need men, and we need some players that would actually come in and will be able to stand their ground. We don't want to, like, if Coutinho was like, he wants to sign for Newcastle, I'm like, please give him a 2-year contract. The moment he runs out, please just send him back to where he is, because we do not want players who are coming for the money. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If they don't want to live in the Northeast, that's their problem. They can go down to London. They'll give them a big wage, and whenever they want to get kicked out, they get kicked out. That's fine. Newcastle is a different club. When you come here, you put on that shirt, you respect the shirt, you respect the club, you respect the fans. It's not a mercenary club. The reason why when they posted that picture of the players after the Burnley game that I liked was, these are the same players that were toughing it under Bruce, and they were holding their tongues, because now everyone is like, Bruce was a special kind of man, right? They kept quiet, they took the stick, and now we're like, oh, we want to sign players, and I'm like, please God, sign reasonable people. I do not want to have people like Ousmane Dembele in my club. I'm sorry.
I agree.
If he's a talented player on his day,
I agree.
No, we don't want people who are here for the money. I don't understand why with this narrative of living in the Northeast, I'm like, we that were fans of the club, we know what the Northeast is like. We love it. Thank you. It's not for everybody. If you want to live with people that don't talk to you or don't have the common decency to say good morning to you, yes, go to where you find them. In Newcastle, people are friendly, they are hardworking, and they like their football. And that's how we like it. You don't have to like it. You can stay wherever you are. That is fine. I don't understand why people are like, oh, nobody wants to go to North. All the footballers that said that, what's his name? Darren Bent. Did he not go to play in Sunderland? It's like nobody wants to. Yeah. So it's when you look at it, you're like, Gabi Agbola, what has he done that he can point to that said, yes, I did this because I was good enough? I'm like, guys, do not disrespect an entire region of a country because nobody offered you the money to come there. Sorry, nobody was offering Gabi Agbola 150,000 a week. He wasn't that good. So when he's like, oh, I will go to Brentford.
Do you know what's interesting? And sorry if this internet connection throws me off a bit.
Go on, Chris.
Oh, sorry, mate. I don't know how far behind I am on my lag.
You're
But do you know what? I'll speak and then it'll catch up. Do you know what I find interesting? Everybody constantly goes on about Newcastle and nobody wants to live in the northeast and it's not nice there and it's bad weather and all stuff like that. What I never understand is, I mean, I'm from Liverpool, as you all know, and I class Liverpool and Newcastle as very, very similar in terms of cities. And nobody ever says, oh, they're not going to want to move to Merseyside. And I don't understand that. There's this impression that Newcastle's this horrendous place to live, and I'm not being funny. Having visited Newcastle many times, obviously, and all my family are from Newcastle, and it's the most fantastic city in the world. And you know what? I travel to London a lot with my work. The amount of times that people who I work with stop me and go, oh, you live in Liverpool. Liverpool's a great city to live in, isn't it? Great city to live in. Lovely people. Everyone's really friendly. And it's exactly the same in Newcastle. But because Liverpool is, have got a big club, in Liverpool Football Club, nobody ever says that. Nobody ever says, they won't want to play in Merseyside. Liverpool's exactly the same as Newcastle. I don't understand why they've got this thing against Newcastle. It's a fantastic city.
I think the problem is a lot of people judge things without experiencing it. What? You come as a footballer, you stay on the bus, you get to a hotel, you get dropped, you move to a stadium, and then you're like, I've been to Newcastle. What's it like? I don't know. It's quite sad that is.
It is.
It is quite sad that for professional footballers who have been living on buses and hotels for a large portion of their career can just go, oh yeah, this place isn't good. if you ask those footballers to tell you 3 places in Newcastle, they will not be able to tell you. So my personal belief is, if somebody can actually state with any form of credibility 3 things within a profession, or even define anything within that, like, why should I listen to your opinion? That's it. Everybody thinks like their opinion matters, and I'm like, no, your opinion matters on certain topics. After that, your opinion doesn't matter because you're not an expert in the place and you don't have any lived experience in that place. So if you don't have any lived experience in that place, why should I consider what you say as reasonable? It's like when Danny Rose was like, Danny Rose, he was like, oh, you know, they have the best trippies in the Northeast. And I was like, that's somebody who has spent a considerable amount of time here, right? And he still plays in London and he's happy to go back anytime. So I'm like, if there are players like this, then maybe you should go and ask them. Because if you're asking players that are looking for money, oh, we want to live the London life. What is the London life?
Yeah.
You get to go to Harrods and then you come back and you get stuck in the tube, you get stuck in the traffic. I've lived in London for the last 4 years. I know. I'm like, there is nothing. Every city has its good and bad sides. Yes.
Yeah.
Newcastle has its good and bad sides. Liverpool has its good and bad sides.
Yeah.
Burnley has its good and bad sides. What can we do? That is just life. You cannot have everything good. But either way, they are rich and they have enough money to make everything smooth. So let's just forget them. Their opinion doesn't matter on that front. Guys, I'll have to go because I have to continue work.
There you go.
Yes,
appreciate
no
you.
worries, but hopefully
couldn't
we
enjoy this
get another 3 points in the next 2-3 games, and we can start building up from there. I don't mind personally if Newcastle get relegated this season. I'm like, yeah, we'll be back next season. We'll be back the season after, because at least this time we have a direction. We have the manager, the owners, the fans, and the people that are actually playing on the pitch. We all have one direction we're heading to. We're not just trying to stay above water. So
I agree.
That level of belief is why we can take a 1-0 defeat or 1-1 draw to Norwich and be like, we're fine. It don't matter. Why are you not angry? Because it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. The most difficult portion of being a Newcastle fan is starting to be over, because now we've gotten rid of the ownership that doesn't want to do anything but sell and not even replace. So we don't even have that. And now we are pushing in the same direction. Everyone is like buying into the philosophy or the dream of, even if it's in 3 seasons, we'll have a club that doesn't let players go on free because they forgot to renew their visa. We'll have a director of football, and we'll have people that can actually be like, this is what we're trying to achieve. What do you need? That's all we've been asking for the last 5-10 years. Because I'm sure when Ashley came in, to be fair to him, he did try, but unfortunately, he got it completely wrong, and he decided. Sorry, I have to explain that. In Nigeria, when someone does this, it's basically like we wash our hands. Whatever happens, and we'll fight it. But lovely chatting to you guys. You guys have a lovely night.
That's right, mate.
And you.
Absolutely right.
Top man.
You too, Babbo.
Great job, Babbo. Fantastic points as always. And yeah, I think he's touched on a really interesting point. I've said it so many times before. All of these pundits and people in the media that criticise the Northeast have never lived there, never properly visited there. They've gone up there for a match day, not really properly seen the city, and then left, but yet seem to have a full-on opinion about a city that they don't know well at all. Everyone I speak to that knows that I'm a Newcastle United fan up and down the country, the first thing they say, "Oh, you support Newcastle? Fantastic city." Anyone that's been there loves the city. Anyone that's been there loves the people in the city, because they're the most friendliest people in the Northeast, in Newcastle, that I've met in this country. Liverpool's a close second. Love the people in Liverpool, so friendly, so welcoming. Newcastle is the best. And I always feel the same going back, no matter what part of Newcastle I go into, whether it's then over the bridge into Gateshead or off into South Shields. Everyone is so friendly, so welcoming. And Gabby Bonholt clearly has never been to Newcastle and properly gone to have a look round. It wasn't long ago that somebody else, I think it was someone from one of the reporters from TalkSport, the West Ham fan, called Newcastle out and said nobody wanted to live up there, and Jeff Stenning had to put him in his place. It happens all the time. It is what it is. Like, these guys just don't care. And you know what? It tends to be people in the media. Why? It's because those guys just don't want to travel up north. They're just happy either being in Birmingham or being in London, where they don't have to move around, where they don't have to travel very far, or travel as far as the northwest, and that's it. And that's the problem. Is that they don't want to travel north. And the reality is that whether it's now, next year, the year after, or the year after that, we will be in a position where we are going to be talked about a hell of a lot. There's going to be media up there all the time. We are going to be on TV more than we are right now. And these guys are going to have to travel up north to be able to report properly on Newcastle United. They're not going to be able to do it from their homes like we have been doing over COVID. And they don't like the thought of doing it. It's as simple as that. But we can't get bogged down by those people, because those people just don't matter. They don't matter. We're always going to get negativity. We need to ride past that and just focus on what we're doing as a fan base and as a football club, because we're always going to get negativity, and that's just how it is. But right, I think we're about there. We've had lots of amazing guests. Yeah, a little bit of lag from Chris, a little bit of a break in play there. But look, it's been a really, really good show for guests. Fantastic guests, fantastic points across the board. Lots of points that we didn't even get into. We've got the big question that will come next week, that Chris will hold on to for a week now. But yeah, lots and lots of great talking points. And you know what? Again, it's been amazing in the chat, as always, today on a Monday. Lots and lots of different opinions. Not everyone's going to agree. But you know what? That's what makes this show, is that we have different opinions and we listen to you guys in the chat. We'll put your questions out there. We'll put your opinions out there. And this is what me and Chris enjoy so much about a Monday night in the fans forum. So massive thanks to you all. Have a fantastic Monday evening, whatever you're doing. I think there was a game on now. I think Everton Arsenal is playing at the moment. So
yeah,
enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. Take care and pray for 3 points come Saturday. And if we do get 3 points, I can't guarantee I'll be in a fit state on Monday evening. I've got to be honest with you. But until then, you guys take care. Speak to you soon. See you later.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself.